Coming in, you guys, I've got a walk and talk for you guys here today, all about how to disagree respectfully. In this world we live in this day and age, people don't know how to show respect to one another when they have a difference of opinion and they disagree, so they become very arguable. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment, but come on in, make yourselves at home. Thanks for hanging out with me here today on this walk and talk. Got a really great topic for you guys, but we'll get into that here just a few minutes. We'll hang out for a second. Hello, MM, Linda, Caveman Keto Dad, Flowers, Smilerista, Texas Livingston, Liz, Bulletproof Coconut, Adventure to Healthier Life, W. Crow Girl, or West Virginia, Crow Girl, T.O. Campa, Smilerista says, good morning. Bulletproof says, go Jimmy, and a lot of peace signs. MM is saying hi. So yeah, good morning, guys. It is a beautiful day. I'm getting very lucky on these walk and talks lately. And it's starting to get a little warmer today. Actually, it's not so warm out here. The sun bearing down is definitely helping, but when I just did the preview video, it was 39 degrees Fahrenheit. So it doesn't feel 39. Of course, you guys know I don't get cold in 23 degree weather. So this is no big deal. But yeah, it's been gorgeous out here. About the worst part of this time of the year when you live in the South is all the pollen in the air. And so we're starting to get that green stuff. I take my car to a local car wash, run it through the car wash. I've got one of these unlimited pass things. And so this time of year, it comes in handy because you get the car wash and an hour later, it's already covered in green stuff again. So Cindy is here. Bulletproof says Jimmy can't get too much warmer. Well, I was talking with a guy yesterday from the Morosco Forge Company. I'm going to be posting that interview very soon. He interviewed me, actually. And I said, you know what, with my body temperature getting higher because of these ice baths, I wonder if I'll be able to tolerate the warmer because my body is already warmer. So that's interesting. We'll see. Flowers wants to know, are you back in shorts yet? You know, Jimmy Moore never doesn't wear shorts, right? I wear shorts year round. Back in shorts is a funny saying because I never got out of them. I don't care what the temperature is outside. I'm always wearing shorts. I'm always wearing a t-shirt. And yeah, the cold does not bother me. The hot bothers me, but the cold does not bother me a bit. Yeah, in the fall when it was starting to get cooler, I was out here short and t-shirt, 32 degrees, no big deal. No big deal. So Yes. So we got a couple more minutes before the appointed time for this topic, but it is a great topic to talk about because the world has gotten very, very weird, especially over the past few years. The world's been weird a while, but the last few years feels like it's done sped up motion in the weirdness. And part of the weirdness is how contentious our society has become. I mean, I don't remember a time in our nation's history and in the world's history where people were more at each other's throats about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm just thinking, wow, the world is very different. Because when I was a kid in the 80s, I mean, there was disagreements about things, but there was always this cordialness about it. That when you disagreed, it wasn't the other person is bad. It just meant, okay, they had a different worldview. Now we have people that say, well, if you disagree with me, you are my mortal enemy and you must be destroyed. I don't get that. I just don't get the mentality of vilifying someone simply because they have a different opinion from you, simply because they disagree with your position. Do you know how boring the world would be if everybody believed exactly the same way? Do you know how, insufferable it would be if we were all lemmings and robots and we just all talked to each other and it was the same thoughts. No. In fact, I choose friends now who I know have different opinions than me, who I know think differently than me. I do that on purpose, guys. Yes, we have things in common, but I don't want somebody to just be a, oh, I believe this. Me too. Oh, I believe this. Me too. No. And quite frankly, I'm looking for a girl in my life that will push back on things that I believe. Because there's nothing worse than being in a relationship where all you get is the echo effect. Look, that's fine if you actually believe that, but not on everything. And there are a lot of people who believe the same thing as their spouse does. Why? Because they think that endears them to them. And what they're actually doing is driving those people away, because you got to push back sometimes. Surely you don't believe on everything. Now, disagreeing respectfully, we're going to talk about a lot of the aspects of this. Disagreeing respectfully, first and foremost, means you've got to actually respect the other person. What I see in a lot of the debates, especially in the political realm, and I'm going to avoid that one. That's the obvious one. But just disagreements in general. The first thing you have to do is say that other person is a human being. They are a human like me. And if I had their belief, how would I want them to treat me? And vice versa. The person that you're talking to also has to have that. Because this respectful disagreement cannot just be a one-way street. You can't show respect for someone else in disagreement if they also don't respect you in the disagreement. Because at some point, the one being respectful is going to feel disrespected, and then their retaliation will be to disrespect the other person, and then the contentiousness happens. Inevitably so. We see it all the time online. Get off of Twitter. That is the worst place in the world. That's where this contentiousness and disagreement gets the ugliest. But quite frankly, I see it here on Instagram. I see it on YouTube. It's ugly, guys. When did the world change so much that we can't disagree on things, have a healthy debate, try to come to some middle ground with one another, and then leave shaking hands and going out for a drink? That's the way things used to be. Why can't we do that anymore? So I want to talk about... Whoa! I don't know what that was about. I want to talk about how you can disagree respectfully. There's a lot of little things. And if we all show and lead by example on these things, and we tell people what we're doing, look, I don't want an argument. I don't want to become contentious. I'm going to stay kind and respectful. All the things we're going to talk about here. Maybe you'll have some receptiveness. And maybe we can change the tone around how we disagree. All right. One of the first concepts is there are people who utilize this thing called coupling. Okay? There's coupling and decoupling. Coupling is when someone has a belief system, you couple that with, okay, if they believe that, then they're this. And again, in the political realm, we've seen that tremendously so over the past 2 years. Oh, if you don't wear a mask and you don't get the hokey pokey, you must be a Trump supporter, you must be a science denier, you must be a conspiracy theorist, you name it. They put you in categories simply because you choose not to do one thing. They say coupling. In other words, you don't do that one thing, that means you're this. That's horrible. We got to stop coupling that because somebody has one belief, that you assume they have beliefs in other areas. That whole assume, ask you, me, definitely applies here. So decouple it. If someone chooses not to wear a mask, and I know it's a moot point now because most places don't have it anymore, but when it was a thing, if somebody chooses not to wear a mask, rather than thinking they're all these things, why don't you say, why don't you wear a mask? Just curious. See how kind that is? And then the person might say, oh, well, and this is my story. When I was a kid, my dad used to put his hand over my mouth and over my nose, and he would cover it so hard that I couldn't breathe. And so when I put a mask on, that stokes my trauma. See how asking it kindly and not assuming things about that person, not doing that coupling, but rather decoupling the specific issue, changes everything about the conversation. See how, yes, you might disagree that they should be wearing a mask, but then when you hear why they're not, because you've decoupled that issue from all the other preconceived notions about it, it disarmed the argument of, well, you're this because you don't do this. Now you see, and you actually ask the person why. And that applies to anything, guys. You can decouple specific issues from your beliefs about people who have those issues. You choose the topic. You figure it out. But decoupling is so important because when you couple, and most people couple, by the way, most people say, well, if you believe this, you must be this. And that's wrong. That's totally wrong. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that will help you be in a civilized conversation. And if you're just joining in, this is my walk and talk. I've been doing these Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. As it starts to get warmer, I might go on live earlier when it starts getting warmer. 11 a.m. might be hot here in about 2-3 months. So I will let you guys know if we back it up earlier in the day. But today's topic, how to disagree respectfully, I thought would be a good one in light of all the ways that people are ugly online to one another. All right, let's get into this. The first thing you need to do is to avoid making assumptions. We were just talking about this with the coupling versus decoupling. When people couple ideas, like if you don't wear a mask, you must be blank, you're making an assumption. You're making an assumption that because they do one thing that you think is typical of a group, that they must be a part of that group. What if they have issues like what I described with the mask, for example? They got a trauma response. What if they actually have respiratory issues that makes wearing that mask difficult? Now, again, it's a moot point because we're not wearing masks anymore. But for the people not wearing them, and let's flip it around. How about the people who still wear a mask, even now? You could be making assumptions about them. Well, they're just sheeple, and they just follow orders, and they're going to be a part of the New World Order when it gets, input, blah, 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 blah. That's wrong too, guys. It goes both ways. You've got to decouple from any preconceived notions, not make any assumptions. Because when you assume what someone else believes based on one little data point, you're going to probably be wrong. And this is why you should never assume. Always get people to explain and share their position. And the way you do that is you hear them out. You don't assume what you think they believe. Actually listen. And that comes to another point. Listen. Listen attentively to what they're saying. I think sometimes the reason disagreements happen is someone is so chomping at the bit to get their voice out, to make their points, that they're not even listening to the other person. Or, this is one that's happened to me. I have a friend in my life who has very different beliefs than me. That's okay. We're very good friends. And this person has other people in her life that are family that have similar beliefs to me. And so whenever I articulate beliefs that I have, she automatically assumes that my beliefs, being similar to the ones of these family members, are the same reasons why the family members have the beliefs. And I've had to explain to this person, no, we may come to the same conclusions, but we didn't get there the same way. Here's my reasoning. And this person, to their credit, listens to me, hears me out, and then goes, oh wow, I didn't even realize. And so no assumptions made, and realizing that you can't be disrespectful in the midst of that. You kind of have to listen. And this person did. And it's great. And then I listen to this person's thoughts on the ideas and I go, oh wow, I didn't even think of that angle. And so see how you learn from one another when you actually disagree in a respectful way. You can actually come to some kind of a consensus. The unfortunate thing is online is a shit show trying to disagree respectfully, because there are people that want no part of respect. They just want to be heard. They want to be loud. They want to be crass. And it's those kinds of conversations that I don't think are productive at all. The next thing you need to do in a conversation, if you're trying to disagree respectfully, is just stay calm. I think sometimes people let their emotions get the best of them. And look, I'm guilty as charged. I'm very active online, and so I'm always going to have opinions said to and about me that I disagree with. And sometimes they will be very forceful opinions. Sometimes they will be very personal and ugly opinions. And it's hard to hold your cool. One thing that I have always done in responding to like hater comments, for example, or not even just hater, just anybody that shows this propensity for disagreeing, I always thank them. Thank you for that comment. That's really something interesting to think about. And then I offer a counterpoint. That's interesting. How about this, and this? And thank you again for engaging in this in a civilized way. Try to diffuse it a bit. Stay calm. Calm and polite really do go a long way in showing that respect to other people. Again, not everybody's going to be receptive to that. Sometimes I'm calm and polite, and they double down and come back double or ugly towards me. That's when you block delete online. So too bad we don't have a block delete in real life. But walking away is the block delete in real life. Although most people, the vile, ugly things they say to and about me online, they would never say it to my face. I'm 6'3" and a big boy. I would kick their ass so hard, or they would think I would. I wouldn't, but how do they know, right? The next one, guys, this is so critical. If you're going to disagree and do it respectfully, ask questions. And there's even this technique, you guys. When somebody says something to you, there's this technique of repeat back what they said. Oh, what I hear you saying is da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. What that does is it tells the other person, hey, they did understand what I said. Hey, I did say it clearly. And then if you ask questions that do follow-up, then it invites engagement, because you've already told them, hey, I respect you enough that I heard your point, and now you've got questions. Absolutely, I want to answer your questions. You see how that works? And so ask questions, not in a combative way, but just curiosity way. Tell me more about, can you tell me why you believe that and this and da-da-da-da-da. I know I'm being real generic because I don't want to get into specific topics. That's not really the point of this walk and talk. It's more the principles that you apply to any given situation where the disagreement is happening. So if you came in late, we are talking about how to disagree respectfully. This is my weekly walk and talk that I do, sharing about things in life. Non-nutrition, I love that too. I don't mind talking about nutrition, obviously, but it's nice to get a little respite from that every once in a while. So, we already talked about asking questions. We already talked about listening to understand, not replying, remaining respectful, decoupling. We talked about all those things so far. The next one, when you make your argument, make it a solid argument. Because what happens is people are very wishy-washy. They're very talking pointy. Things that they hear online, maybe a meme they saw, they'll use that as a source of information. That's not a solid argument, guys. If you want to be heard and you want to be respected, you kind of have to know your shit. So don't go into a conversation about a topic until you know everything about that topic, or at least enough to have an intelligent conversation. That's where people get into trouble. Well, I heard on CNN that... Well, that's not good enough. You can't just hear about it. Good morning, guys. You can't just hear about something and that's your totality of your information. That's not a solid argument. Now, if you say, well, I heard about it on CNN, but then I looked into it further and I started looking up articles, started looking up research, and here's what I found. I do that quite a bit. I'll say, I was reading Wall Street Journal had an article on this, You might find it interesting on this topic if you want to go look it up. But I concluded after reading that, You see where I'm going here? Make a solid argument and make your case. And by all means, do not go personal. Do not get ugly towards people. That will always, 100% of the time, turn this into a contentious disagreement. Always. Don't get personal. Here's the big one. Don't be sarcastic and don't be passive aggressive. These are big no-nos when it comes to conversations. Good morning. So, I get a lot of people that come on my pages. They pull that passive aggressive stuff with me all the time. And I call them out on it. They'll say things like, well, if you only counted calories, that would probably help you with all your problems in your health, Jimmy. That's passive aggressive. It's snarky, it's rude. And so I immediately say, that's not necessary to be that way on my page. I'm going to ask you to refrain from that. And if you cannot control your passive aggressiveness, I will have no choice but to block and delete you. Usually I don't hear back from people after that. I was firm back. We obviously disagreed. But that kind of person isn't interested in a conversation. And then if they came back strong, came back ugly, then you block and delete them and you move on with your life. So there's ways to deal with it. Disagreeing does not always end happy. Disagreeing respectfully does not always end well for the other person who chooses not to be respectful back. Sometimes, though, your respectfulness gets their attention so that then they are forced to have no other choice but to be respectful back. I had this guy recently, I think I talked about it on last week's Walk and Talk, that came on one of my reels that I made. And he said, man, all these videos you make, they're pretty spaz, man. And they're getting kind of redundant. Talking about all the reels, because I have fun in those. And he doesn't realize that I do those because Instagram rewards you in the algorithm if you make reels. And so as a content maker, I know that. That's why I make more reels. I still put incredible content in the captions, but you have to do the kind of silly stuff to make the reels to get attention. So he didn't like that. So I responded back to him in typical Jimmy fashion. I went on a reel and I was pointing to his comment, telling him I didn't care what he thought. Thank you for your comment, but you have no input on my page. If you don't like my content, you can move along. Anyway, he blew a gasket on me. Man, I got like 4 more comments on that post. He finally got so ugly I had to block and delete him at that point. But I don't assume people are just haters. You always give them respect first until they no longer earn the respect. And then you get rid of them, which is what I did. Which gets to the next point. In a disagreement, don't call people names. Like, I have been called so many names in conversations. It's not even funny. And I don't get the need to go right to name calling and ugliness. To me, it serves no good purpose. And when that happens, guys, take solace in knowing that when that happens, this person is out of ideas to challenge what you're saying. So when somebody goes ugly, it means they can't fight you in an argument civilly anymore. They don't have anything to counter your point, so they have to do that to try to rile you up. That's literally all that is at that point. So next time you get an ugly comment, just remember that. That's all it is. It's them not being able to handle giving you a response rationally in a civilized manner. Changes everything about that, right? The next one is so critical too. And we never know where people are in their lives. We never know what they're going through at that time when they're typing those words. A couple years ago, it was really, really sad. All the angst thrown at one another over all the riots that were happening and all the things that were being said about white people and about black people and this and that. And it was ugly. We just don't know, guys, what people are going through. So one of the keys of having a respectful disagreement is to show a little love and kindness, compassion and understanding. I can tell you 2 years ago, I was going through one of the toughest things in my life. And I wrote things on Facebook that I regret now. And, I can't take it back. In the moment, I was caught up in the heat of the moment. I was going through a really stressful, tough time in my life. I wasn't well from a mental perspective. And I didn't say anything just overtly over the top egregious, but it was not in character for me. And so I look back at that stuff now and just cringe, because that wasn't who I was. I didn't show very much compassion, kindness, and understanding in that moment. And we need to give ourselves a lot of grace in that area. That maybe we need to take a break. If you're in that kind of a mode, if you can't show compassion and understanding to your fellow human being, maybe it's time to take a breath, work on yourself a little bit. I wish I had. I was in the midst of that, but it happens to the best of us. That's the point. All right, I think I mentioned this one a little bit earlier, but please don't be sarcastic. Sarcastic, passive-aggressive, those things do not serve a good purpose at all. Sarcasm just makes people lash out at you even more. So leave the sarcasm out of it. I know it's hard, guys. I know it's hard because that's all you see, especially online. When it comes to disagreeing, you see people being ugly towards one another, being sarcastic towards one another, saying the most vile things about one another, vilifying one another, coupling them. Well, if you believe this, you must be this. And it's just horrible. I hate where we've gotten in public discourse in 2022. And then the last one is really important too on this portion of the list. Be teachable. I think sometimes when we go into disagreements, we want to try to teach the other person. Well, they need to learn my position. What would happen if both participants said, all right, teach me something. I want to learn more about why you believe that. And I've got a friend that does that. This friend will ask me, so tell me why you believe ... whatever the belief is that they're asking about. Oh, okay, sure. Here's why I believe it. ... Other people believe this because of ... but here's why I believe ... And then what that does is that invites me to want to learn about their position. Well, tell me why you believe the opposite ... And then you learn. And you keep that open mind. You keep that teachable mind open. The moment that we think we have it all figured out on every area of life, the moment we think we have nothing else to learn, is the moment you are no longer living. I think part of living life is to be a constant sponge of information. And yeah, you're going to shift beliefs. You're going to have new information come along that changes how you feel. And if you don't ever change, that's not good. That's not good at all. We should all be evolving into better people. We should all be taking all of this knowledge and experience that we have in life and making something of it. And the way you do that is you always remain teachable. You always say, all right, what's something new I could learn today? Maybe a hard belief that you've had. You can start to work on that. Why do I believe that? Sometimes you peel back the layers of things you think you believe, and you only believe it because someone else told you to believe it. But then you go, wait a minute. Do I believe that? Is that what I really believe? And a lot of times, no, it's not what you really believe. Not at all. And the only way you can do that is if you remain teachable. All right, I'm coming to you guys here in a minute, but I have a few more thoughts that I wrote down here. You need to look at that other person for the human being that they are. Because they are a human being. And I know sometimes that gets lost in these conversations because, again, coupling, people have a belief system. Well, if you believe that, you must be this. And so you dehumanize those people. Always keep the humanity of the person that you're disagreeing with. They're a human. They are allowed to have a different opinion from you. They are allowed to have beliefs that might run counter to your beliefs. That doesn't make them a bad person. That doesn't make them anything other than just another human being with another worldview, looks at the world through their eyes and their experiences. We need to stop making assumptions that these people are evil. That one's the one that gets me the most. And of course, you go on Twitter, that's all you see. So-and-so is the most evil person on the planet. They need to be locked up for all the world atrocities. And it's literally everybody. It's Dr. Fauci, it's Donald Trump, it's Joe Biden, it's all the people. And I'm like, really? That much angst for other people? I don't get it. Maybe somebody can help me understand. but I don't get it. We talked about this one earlier about staying calm, but when you talk about hot button issues, stay focused on the issue. When you feel yourself getting a little worked up, stay focused on the person. Stay focused on what they're saying, not what you hear them saying in your mind's eye, but what they're actually saying. And if you're in person, keep looking at them in the eye and really focus on intently listening with a quiet voice. Don't try to interrupt. And if you find yourself on the receiving end of someone getting more and more aggressive, just ask them, can you tell me more? Can you tell me more about why you think that, why you believe that? Because the reason people get aggressive is they feel like they're not being heard. They feel like their point is not coming across. So if you start saying, hey, tell me your point more clearly, guess what happens? They calm down. This could probably work online too. If someone gets kind of ugly. Oh, that's very interesting. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Tell me more about that. I've used this one pretty routinely online, and it works like a charm to get people to at least tell you a little more. And sometimes when you get an aggressive comment, you're reading it through the prism of the anger of it and not their real intention. Sometimes I'll have fun with it. I'll say, well, apparently somebody's mama did not tell them how to talk to other people like a human, so let's try that again. What did you mean to say? And I'll have fun with it. I'll make kind of a funny quip about it. And then sometimes that disarms them, and they're more apt to talk to me at that point. Another tactic you can use, especially face-to-face or even on the phone, is moments of silence. It's okay if in the course of a conversation there are these long 5 to 10 second lulls where nobody is talking. That's where somebody or both people are processing. Especially if you just told somebody something and explained something, and then they're kind of learning this about you for the first time. They may be going, holy crap, why did I think that they were this when now I hear them doing this and da-da-da. So all that thinking turns into silence. And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. So let that silence happen. Use I statements instead of you statements. When you say I, you make it kind of personalized. And you disarm the other person. Because if you say, well, you made me da-da-da-da-da, immediately they're going to put up their guard. But if you say, I felt bad because da-da-da-da-da, oh, wow. Now it takes the pressure off of them not feeling like they're being accused. Subtle language, guys, but it makes such a big difference. All right, that's enough from my notes. I want to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for being here today on my walk and talk. I do typically do these on Sundays at 11 a.m. Like I said earlier, as it gets warmer, I will very likely push it back earlier in the day so it's not quite so hot. It's actually very pleasant out here. Sunshine right down. It's probably in like the low to mid 40s. Pretty good weather. I like this weather. All right, let's see who all's here. Go back to the top. What you have to say about this. Please interact with the content if you like what I'm sharing here. Bulletproof says, people don't understand how to be friends with someone who disagrees with them. Our kids aren't taught this. You're right. My best friend and I, Brittany, We do not see eye to eye on a lot of things. And we talk about it very publicly on our podcast. We do not see eye to eye on so many topics. But what we do see eye to eye on is respect for one another's positions. And I've been able to share thoughts and ideas that I have that she's never even entertained before, that she now goes, okay, now I understand that. And vice versa. She's told me things about her belief system like, that makes sense. I've never heard it in that language before. Because we have a care and trust for one another. Even in the disagreement, we care and trust about each other. That makes all the difference. This is why disagreeing respectfully means you actually have to respect that other person. Because if the other person didn't respect you, then who cares what they think? It's only because they have love, care, kindness, and respect towards you that you even care what they think. This is why when a random person on the internet tries to say something ugly about me, I don't really take it too personally. Because you're just a rando on the internet. Why do I care what you think? You have no love and kindness and compassion and care for me. Why do I care what your opinion is? Honestly, it's something I wish more people would understand a lot more clearly. Good morning, guys. Flowers says, I'm sporadic in my watching, so maybe you've addressed this. Your face seems slimmer. Are you sharing about your weight loss? Your efforts seem to be leading to improvement. Thank you for that. I don't measure my weight on the scale anymore, so I have no idea. I am doing daily ice baths at 5 o'clock every single day in 2022. I'm assuming that's probably some of what you might be seeing, but I have no idea when it comes to actual weight loss, how much, blah, blah, blah. I honestly don't care. I'm at the point in my life where I feel good in my own skin. I do healthy habits. I'm going to let their chips fall where they may. So, no, I've not specifically addressed that, but thank you. Thank you for sharing your observations. Cindy says, you are so right when it comes to disagreements. I have a friend who just started on keto. I've been influencing her. I told her about people who are going to start criticizing her and what she should say. Yes. Yeah, anytime you make a change, people automatically go, whoa, no, I like the old version of you. And I've got a friend in my life who's dealing with that this very moment. Has a family member that is berating her because she's different than this family member remembers her being. And so therefore, you're different, something's wrong. No, nothing's wrong. This friend of mine is choosing better for her life, and the family member can't help it. And doesn't like it. Wants the old version, not realizing that the old version was not serving my friend well, and that she needed to make a change to become more who she is. And I love that. But it's led to a lot of contentiousness and criticism, as you were talking about with your friend starting keto. So good for you helping her know, hey, it's coming. What do you mean you're cutting out carbohydrates? Don't you know those are good? Yeah, they're good, all right. Bulletproof says, some of my closest friends have the most disagreements. It's in our disagreements that we keep in touch because we have had things to discuss. If we agreed on everything, what is there to discuss? That's a great point. Yeah. I no longer want Me Too friends. Me Too love relationships. Me Too anything in my life. Not that I want contentiousness from every relationship that I have, but I do want, hey, challenge me, make me grow, help me become stronger. You don't become stronger unless you're pushed. Pushed to think about things, what you believe, why you believe it. If you're never pushed on those things, how can you possibly grow? And this is why having friends and other relationships in your life who are willing to push back in love and kindness and respect towards you, but they push back. In fact, I have a friend in my life. They tell me, please push back and push back hard on anything that you disagree on, because they need that. They want that. They know in the end it will make them a better person. And that's cool. And that's one of my stronger relationships that I'm in as a friend. So I love that. Mary says the media has propagated this contentiousness. It started after the 2008 election. Oh, it happened a long time before then, my dear. Before I was in the keto world, my education back in the early 90s was in political science. I have a master's degree in poli-sci and English, a bachelor's degree in poli-sci and English, and a master's degree in public policy. It was going on right then too. It's been downhill much longer than 2008, but yes, it got pretty frothy in 2008, but yeah, it's been ugly for a while in that realm. I try not to get too caught up in all of that anymore. It's just not worth it. You want to talk about a shit show worse than Twitter? It's the political world. I'm just not interested. And all the people that take sides, they're the people that are the worst. And I'm talking about on both sides. It doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum, politically speaking. If you're on the left, you got piece of shit people on the left. If you're on the right, you got piece of shit people on the right. Because all they want to do is dig in their heels on their own positions. Nobody wants to seek the middle ground. Nobody wants to disagree with one another in a respectful way. No, we just create memes and we mock the other side. We call people on the right maggots. They call people on the left all of these ugly names like libtard and all this kind of stuff. What does that do? What good does that do? I don't get it, so I don't participate. I refuse to be a part of an uncivilized society. I'm more of a, hey, let's come to some kind of an understanding between two dichotomy of points. Sometimes it's not possible, I get that. But at least don't be ugly. At least don't think that people who believe differently than you are somehow an enemy. And the one that really gets me, where they identify people who have certain beliefs as terrorists now. And it's like, really? That's a little extreme. Just because they believe differently than you does not make them a domestic terrorist. Thank you for playing. Have a nice day. That one's never sat well with me. But that's where we are. And it's why this topic today is so important to me. I feel like we're losing civility. We're losing the very thing that makes us human beings. We're losing the soul of who we are as people. If we can't even have disagreements and be civil about it, how do you have civilization? You don't. At some point, that civilization will crumble and fall because you need people willing to disagree without wanting to kill you because you disagree. And I think we honestly have people in society now that would love nothing more than to kill all the people who hold different views from them. They're there. You see it all the time. Science functions within respectful discourse. Whenever that was stopped, we were left with guidelines based on one opinion, like fat is bad and salt is bad. Yeah, you got to have disagreement. And in the science world, disagreement is part of the definition of what science is. Science is not consensus. Science is, okay, you've got this hypothesis, do a study, let's see it borne out. Okay, you print that study. All right, let me go do a study. Oh, I got different results from my study. And then you kind of look at the two studies and you look at the differences and you hash it out. That's not what has happened, unfortunately, to your point, Bulletproof. So your responses to haters are hysterical sometimes. I have fun with them. There's nothing like disarming a hater by refusing to get upset. When I was first online 17 years ago, I didn't understand the hateful responses because I was responding as if this was a human being standing in front of me saying these words to me. And so I'm a very empathetic person. I feel things pretty strongly. And then I got to the point where, hey, wait a minute. This is just some random person on the internet. Why do I care what their opinion is? Now, if one of my good friends says something to me, okay, I'm going to perk up a little bit. I'm going to pay more attention to that. But if it's just some random person, nah, I don't care what some rando thinks. I get them on here sometimes when I'm on Instagram Live. I'll get some random person saying something ugly. All right. Thanks for playing. Delete. Smilerista bought a badge. Thank you for that. Those of you that watch Instagram Lives, if you ever want to support the people providing content that you like, there is a little button down there that lets you buy a badge. I think it's $1, $3, and $5. And Instagram gets a little cut out of that. And then the person that's doing the live gets the rest of the money. So thank you for the 3-star badge, Smilerista. Appreciate that. Smilerista says, seen, heard, and safe. Yes. All of those are important when you're trying to have a civilized conversation. Kira says, I don't want to be respectful to them. I'm not ready to forgive them for how they attacked me for points in the last 2 years, and I was right. None of those people came back to say sorry. Yeah. I mean, look, it's situational. I get it. Although I've gotten to the point in my life where harboring ill will towards those people that did you wrong only hurts you. They're not hurt one bit. They're not even fazed, even a little, by you being upset. But you sure are. So I've gotten to the point in my life and my mental stability that, yes, I've had things done very wrong to me in a lot of ways by a lot of people, and very specific people that got things they did not deserve. And it would be easy for me to not show any kind of respect to them, but I do anyway. I do anyway because it's not about them. It's about me and my heart, my character, who I try to be in my life. I don't pretend to be something I'm not. I just live out who I am. And if those feelings pop up, like what you're talking about, all right, that's justifiable from a mental perspective, but they're not going to serve me well. So I understand your position, but I couldn't do that. I choose to be kind, respectful, even when that has not been shown to me. But I hear you, girl. Smilerista, most of the time it's just a trauma response. Ooh, yes, it really is. I used to be on the defense because of my PTSD Everything was a personal attack. I always felt like people were purposely coming at me and attacking me. Yes, you're right. And this is why one of the points I made was always just be understanding and compassionate towards people. You don't know why they're saying things and doing things the way that they are. You have no idea what their story is. All you see is the brunt of the attack. And when you stop seeing things from just the attack side of things and go, I wonder what they're going through in their life. And I'll sometimes ask that when somebody is especially ugly towards me, and especially somebody random on the internet, rather than just saying, oh, you're stupid, block, delete. No, I'll say, I'm sorry you're going through something right now in your life. If you need someone to talk to, I'm always happy to listen. And when you do that, wow, somebody's finally hearing me. Somebody's knowing that I'm not in a good place. You show a little humanity. What better way to be respectful to another human being? Bring them into the fray? Because people that lash out, that is not a normal human reaction. It's a response to trauma, as you're mentioning. I love that. I'm doing somatic therapy, which has helped me shift and heal. Yes, look into that, you guys. Somatic therapy. I did a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, myself, in the midst of that issue I was going through a couple years ago. Really helped a lot. So there's little tricks of the trade that will help. Of course, I've got a book coming out soon called The One Step Deeper Journal, The Foundations. Brittany and I wrote that as a companion to our podcast. It's a 40-day journal that helps you go one step deeper in personal growth and development. So be looking for that coming very soon. We had a little snafu at the publisher, at the printer. We're hoping to get that fixed very soon. But once that's clear, we'll let you know, I promise. Did you do anything in poli-sci? Bulletproof, great question. So I graduated, I was 20 years old. In 1992, I graduated from the University of Tennessee, Martin, poli-sci English double major. My goal was, hey, maybe I want to get into, like, maybe be a lobbyist on Capitol Hill or, something. I wanted to do something good in the realm of government. And about that time is when all the ugliness really started rearing its ugly head in politics. The Clinton era, it just got nasty during those years. And I kept looking at that and going, I do not want that to be my life. Like, literally, I know there's people that they love that whole rat race, but no. And especially if I wanted to start a family, no. I did not want them exposed to all that. So I never did do anything in the political science realm. I did go get my public policy degree, still master's degree, still pursuing that I might do something in that realm. But then it got even uglier by the time I got that degree, and I never did anything with it. Now, I am still trying to change nutrition public policy. So at some point, at some small level, I still have hope to use those skills and education that I got. Although I do use the English, because I was an English major in college as well. I do a lot of writing now, so I am grateful for that. Yes. All right. Hello, Parkman. Evidence-based medicine doesn't exist today, no? I don't think it's possible to have true evidence-based medicine because there's always going to be confounding variables. I don't think you can randomize some small group of people and then extrapolate all of those things that happen to that small group of people to hundreds of millions of people and expect it to be totally valid. So it is difficult. You're right. I agree. Who is the biggest hater? Come on, dude. You're the biggest hater. No, I don't pay attention to that. I used to have, back when I first started, this is way back 2000, like 5, 6, 7. I used to have this one blogger who would, every article that she wrote on her blog was about what a fraud I was, how horrible I was. Like, wow, I have a whole blog dedicated just to hating on Jimmy Moore. She got on Gary Taubes a little bit, but Taubes engaged her just a little, and she ran with that. But then she turned her attention back to me. It was just funny to me. She would literally troll my social media pages with anything that I post. And you guys know I put up a lot of content. So she'd take some content and then, this is what he really means when he says this. It was so funny. I'm like, I've never met this person. And she's making all these character assumptions and conclusions about me. God knows why. I think she had a secret crush on me, to be honest with you. DeMarco says haters will always find something or someone to hate on, and they really hate themselves. Yeah. And look, I have a heart for people like that. I know I'm weird. Haters are supposed to be the crazy people in the world. It's kind of like the Karens out there. We all like to laugh at and mock the Karens, but all a Karen is, all a hater is somebody who's hurting and they don't know how to express it very well. So I have a heart for those people. I make it a point not to use the word hate in conversation. Dislike sounds better. Yeah, I like that. Semantically, I really dislike it when you da-da-da-da-da rather than I really hate it when, because there is a certain tone that comes from hate versus dislike. Not pleasured by. Did you take your body temp before the walk? Yeah, it was pretty normal. 98.3, I believe it was. Pretty normal. I did pop a 99.7 this morning. Those of you that don't watch my ice bath videos, I've been getting this fluctuation in my body temp all throughout the day now, where it goes up and it goes down, and it goes up and it goes down. Just this, it's like a pulsating up, down, up, down, up, down, in anticipation that I'm going to get into cold water. So it is pretty warm out here with the sun bearing right down on me. So I'm sure my body temp is up if I were to test when I got back in. Do you feel your ice baths give you more endurance during your walk? A little bit subjective of a question. I mean, I still get winded a little bit because there are hills on this that heat is starting to get to me a little bit, where the sun is coming right down on me. So, but I'm able to do it if that's what you're asking. But yeah, if it could be shady like this the whole time, I'd be good. I still don't do very well when the sun is directly on me. I know people say sunshine energizes them. It does the opposite in Jimmy. The sun drains me of energy, which is why when I go to like a theme park or something, I can't be out in the open like this for too long. I get overheated and I get drained of energy. So yeah, they're not hurting if that's what you're asking. So yesterday you said brown fat is around the back of your neck, so cold water during showers, would cold water directly on the back of the neck be best? Do it all over. But definitely make sure you get it on the backside of your head. Let it hit like the top side of the backside of your head and all along the back. This is why you see me dunk my head beneath the water at the end of my ice bath videos. It's why when I get in, you see me wiggle down all the way to the neck area. I've been watching other keto and carnivore people doing ice baths, and they come to here on mid part of their, like below their breasts and everything. And I'm like, go down, like put your body down in that. Otherwise, I mean, you're getting cold. It's great. But if you really want to activate the brown fat, you got to get that vagus nerve under the water too, to get some of the mental health benefits. I just don't get it when they go in and it's practically the middle of their stomach. I'm like, half your body's out of the water. And then they don't dip under the water at the end. I'm like, you're leaving a lot on the table by not doing that. Parkman says, I'm getting cold therapy now, freezing in my car. Well, if you're wearing shorts and t-shirt, I will believe you, Parkman. If you're all bundled up, that doesn't count. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this walk and talk. If you're watching the replay on YouTube or Facebook or even here on Instagram, you want to join me live on this walk and talk. I do talk about all kinds of topics right now around Sundays at 11 a.m. But go follow me over on Instagram at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. And I always post the topic a day or so ahead of time. And if I change the time, you'll also know if you follow me there. So come follow me over on Instagram. Would love to have you come enjoy us live. What happens in the Vegas doesn't stay in the Vegas nerve. What happens if you gamble at the Vegas nerve? Holla. Yes. Everybody's a comedian. Thank you guys for watching today. Appreciate you hanging out with me. I will be back, obviously, in a few hours, 5 hours from now, for my walk and talk in the bathtub, in the ice bath. I'm going to walk myself and talk myself right into 32-degree temperature ice water, and we'll commiserate then. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon. Bye, guys.